My sister said, "You'll never make it without us." So I made it, quietly. Then bought the house next door to her, renovated it, painted it black, and installed a neon sign that says, "Without you." I didn't cry when she said it. I just stood there in my dusty overalls, sweat soaking through my shirt from a 10-hour shift, watching her sip her overpriced latte, like she hadn't just ripped open my chest and spit in it. "You'll never make it without us." That's what my sister Jessica, 33 female, said as she leaned back in her custom-upholstered kitchen nook, her voice honey-slick and casual like she was commenting on the weather. Her husband, Travis, 35 male, didn't even look up from his iPad, just nodded like it was a known fact, like they were stating gravity. I was 28 at the time, the screw-up, the dropout, the one who borrowed money once during the pandemic and never got to stop hearing about it. I'd shown up that day just to return a damn Pyrex dish Jessica had lent Mom after the funeral. Thought maybe we could talk like siblings again, even for 5 minutes. But Jess doesn't do conversations. She does performances, little ego recitals wrapped in passive aggression. "You think you're so noble, doing construction or whatever," she'd said earlier that day while unwrapping her vegan scone. "But it's not a career. It's just manual labor. You're a grown man chasing childhood fantasies. You still live in a rental, right?" It wasn't a question. It was a warning shot. And when I didn't flinch, when I stayed calm and just said, "I'm figuring it out," she doubled down. "You'll never make it without us." The us wasn't just her and Travis. It was the whole damn family. My parents, who always bragged about her real estate license while side-eyeing my calloused hands. My aunts and uncles who thought I was wasting my intelligence swinging hammers. Even Grandma, God rest her, once told me, "You're smart, honey, but smart people still need safety nets." I didn't scream, didn't argue. I said, "Thanks for the tea," and left. And something in me locked into place that day. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even sadness. It was resolve. Because here's the thing Jessica never understood. I wasn't trying to prove anything to her. I was trying to build something for me. Something real. Something that couldn't be revoked with a sigh or a snide comment or a pulled favor. So I disappeared, quietly. No dramatic exits, no big Facebook post. I just stopped showing up to birthdays, stopped replying to the family group chat, moved across town, took a promotion no one knew I was offered, and started putting in work. Not just at the job, but at myself. I got licensed, then certified, then subcontracted my own crews. I lived like a monk, stacked every dime, drove a beat-up truck until the wheels practically fell off. Jessica texted me 3 times that first year, once to ask if I'd help her move a patio heater, once to see if I could look at a plumbing leak, and once, when I didn't respond to either, just to say, "You really are selfish." I didn't reply, not to her, not to anyone. And while they kept living in their curated little world of brunches and HOA meetings, I bought a foreclosed duplex across town, then another, then a lot, then the house, the one next door to Jessica. It was a wreck when I bought it. I mean, foundation cracks, mold in the walls, the kind of stench that says 3 dogs, no discipline. The neighbors, Jessica's neighbors, were horrified. One even flagged me down in the driveway and said, "Are you sure you want to take that on? That house has been rotting since 2011. I just smiled. "Perfect," I said. I spent every weekend on that place for a year and a half. After long work days managing my crew, I'd pull up in the dark and start sanding, scraping, gutting walls. There were nights I'd sleep in a lawn chair inside just to get a head start the next morning. I replaced everything. Roof, plumbing, electrical, insulation. My guys thought I was nuts. "Why not just flip it?" they asked. "You could double your money." But this wasn't about money. This was about history, geography, symbolism. See, growing up, Jessica always used to say, "We don't come from much, but we know how to pick where to live." Our parents mortgaged their souls to get into that neighborhood. White fences, clean lawns, fake smiles. Jess married Travis the same year I moved into a 1-bedroom behind a liquor store. She used to joke that her dog had a bigger bedroom than me. Now she lived in a pristine, pastel-painted home with a wreath on every door and a Pinterest-worthy porch, and I was about to become her next-door neighbor. Only I wasn't painting anything pastel. The day I finally closed up the exterior, I stood across the street with a can of black paint. Deep, matte black. The kind that swallows light. My contractor buddy thought I'd lost it. "You're gonna piss off the HOA, he warned. Good. I painted that whole house black. Every shingle, every board. No trim, no contrast. Just this monolith of matte defiance. It was stunning, in a way that made people uncomfortable. But I wasn't done. I installed a neon sign in the front window. Not big, not obnoxious. Just elegant cursive in soft white-pink glow. "Without you." Neighbors complained. One said it was passive-aggressive. Another said it didn't align with the neighborhood's character. HOA sent letters. I framed them and hung them in the hallway. But the best part, the absolute peak, was Jessica's reaction. I didn't see it at first, just heard about it through a mutual cousin who texted me, did you really move in next door to Jess? And did you really put up a sign that says without you? She didn't know yet. She hadn't seen me. I waited until the landscaping was done, the grass laid, the hedges trimmed into clean brutalist lines. And then, one Saturday morning, I mowed the lawn. Shirt off, sunglasses on, AirPods blasting Otis Redding. Jessica stepped out onto her porch with her dog and froze. Mid-step, mid-sip of her green smoothie. Her eyes locked on the sign first, then the paint, then me. I raised a hand. Morning, Jess. Her smoothie dropped, just slipped from her hand and hit the porch like a splattered cartoon. And that was the beginning. The moment it all flipped. The day my sister, who once looked down on me like I was gum on her designer flats, realized I was never beneath her, just building quietly next door. Jessica didn't speak to me for 2 weeks, which was hilarious, considering she'd built an entire personality around being direct and unfiltered. Suddenly, the woman who used to criticize my haircut at Thanksgiving like it was a public service couldn't even say hello across the driveway. But I wasn't surprised. See, Jessica only operates in 2 modes, dominance or distance. And when dominance fails, she freezes you out until she can rewrite the story in her favor. Travis was the first one to crack. He came over the 3rd weekend after I moved in, pretending to walk their dog, but holding the leash like it was an alien organism. He tried to play it cool, did the whole just curious routine. So, the house, he said, nodding toward it. Interesting choice. Thanks, I said, sipping coffee on my steps. He chuckled like he thought we were equals. The paint, man. Kinda intense, huh? You going for Halloween chic? I smiled. Nah, just felt right. He looked at the neon sign glowing faintly behind the blackout blinds and scratched his neck. And the sign? I let the silence stretch just enough to sting. It's a reminder, I said finally. For me. He didn't ask what it meant. Didn't have to. The way he tugged the leash and walked off said everything. That was the thing about Travis. He wasn't cruel like Jessica, just complicit, comfortable in her shadow. The kind of guy who lets his wife make passive-aggressive Facebook posts about your sad little fixer-upper while liking them from his burner account. A few days later, the games started. First, it was the trash can. Mine mysteriously ended up tipped over every Wednesday morning, always empty, always on its side. Then came the dog, Jessica's overgrown doodle suddenly accidentally peeing on my walkway every evening. One night I came home to find a flyer duct taped to my door about HOA paint codes, highlighted in 3 places just in case I missed it. I ignored all of it. Nothing drives someone like Jessica more insane than being denied a reaction. But I started documenting. Photos, videos, screenshots, every note, every mistake, every time she or Travis stepped a toe over the property line with some passive-aggressive flourish. Not for revenge, not yet, just for the record. Because I knew her. I knew this wasn't about aesthetics, it was about control. She couldn't stand that I'd made something beautiful on my own terms, next to her curated life. Couldn't handle that I didn't need her anymore. Didn't want her help, her advice, her approval, especially not after that day in her kitchen. After her words carved a quiet trench in my spine and filled it with steel. You'll never make it without us. Every day I woke up in that house, every floorboard I laid, every light I wired, every time I mowed the lawn with the sign softly glowing behind me, it was another step away from her world and deeper into mine. And I knew it was only a matter of time before she snapped. Jessica doesn't lose quietly. She implodes. It started with the garden hose. I came home one Tuesday. Nothing special about it, just another long day on site, and the front half of my lawn was soaked. Not like rain-soaked, targeted, aimed. The rest of the grass was bone dry, but the strip closest to her property line looked like it had been power washed. I didn't have to guess. Jessica was standing on her porch when I pulled in, arms crossed, face smug in that tight little way she gets when she thinks she's won something. Had a little sprinkler mishap, she called, not even pretending it was true. Cool, I said, stepping over the puddle like it was a minor inconvenience instead of a message. She tilted her head. Maybe you should have built your house a little further away, My mouth twitched. I didn't respond. I went inside, changed, came back out with a camera mounted on a little bracket, and installed it over my door. Clear view of the front yard. Didn't even look at her. Just drilled it in while she stood there watching, silent now. That night, I added another neon sign. This one was smaller, red. Hung it in the front window next to the glowing cursive, "Without you." It just said, "Still here." That was the first time she lost it publicly. The next morning, she stormed across the lawn in a robe and slippers, pounded on my front door like she was collecting a debt. I opened it slowly, coffee in hand, and she pushed her way halfway inside before I blocked her. "You're doing this to humiliate me," she hissed. "You think this is clever? You think you're better than us now?" I didn't even blink. "Didn't say that. You're mocking me. Right outside my window. Black house, those signs, the HOA complaints, this is harassment. I looked her dead in the eye. Jessica, I've lived next to you for 2 months. I haven't said a word. You've sprayed my lawn, left trash on my steps, and now you're in my home, yelling. She hesitated, then smiled. That creepy, condescending, I hold all the cards smile. I'll get the HOA to fine you. You'll regret this. You've always needed us. Don't forget that. That's when I said it. Not anymore. She stepped back like I slapped her. Then she turned on her heel and stormed off, slamming the gate so hard it knocked a plank loose. 3 days later, my mailbox was smashed in. Then came the fake complaint to the city. Said I was running an unlicensed construction business from the house. I had to show permits, business licenses, even receipts just to keep them off my back. Took 2 weeks and a lawyer friend to make it go away. Travis tried to apologize on her behalf. I told him he could stop enabling a bully anytime. The next weekend, I caught her in my backyard. She was in yoga pants, holding her phone, trying to get a picture of one of my new patio pieces. Something to send to the HOA, no doubt. My camera caught it all. When I stepped outside, she nearly dropped the phone. You're trespassing, I said calmly. She scoffed. It's a yard. It's mine. That's when I knew it was time to respond, not react. Respond, and not with noise, not with yelling, with something quieter, something that would unspool her, thread by thread. That weekend, I hosted a housewarming, invited every single neighbor, except her. Update 1. So, first of all, thank you for every comment, message, DM, meme, and completely unhinged "Paint it black, baby" chant. Y'all are a different breed and I love it. I wasn't even gonna post an update yet. I thought this whole thing was just me being petty and finally standing up for myself. But then some of you started saying stuff like, "This is the slowest, coldest, most surgical takedown I've ever seen," and "Please tell me she melts down in front of the HOA." Well, buckle up, because Jessica exploded. So remember how I threw a housewarming party last weekend? I wasn't subtle about it. I had string lights up, a fire pit in the backyard, beer and coolers, jazz playing through my outdoor speakers. My crew showed up. My contractor buddy brought his smoker. A couple neighbors from the next street over even dropped by with brownies. Everyone was chill, happy, laughing, except Jessica. She was on her porch, in full makeup, hair curled, pretending to water the same hydrangea bush for 2 hours straight, just waiting for someone to acknowledge her. No one did. That's when the text started. At first, she messaged Travis. I know because his phone kept buzzing, and eventually he walked over to apologize to me again. Dead serious. Said, "Man, she's not taking this well." No shit. Then she messaged me directly. Here's a sample. Verbatim. You're doing this on purpose. Is this about the Pyrex dish? What kind of grown man throws a pity party and calls it a housewarming? And finally, I gave you everything. You were nothing without me. That one hit weird. Because what did she give me, really? She gave me shame, gave me condescension, gave me a lifetime of feeling like I had to grovel to matter, like success only counted if she approved. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked out front, refilled the drink cooler, and flipped the neon sign on a little early. Without you, glowing softly behind my black-framed window, while 30 people mingled on my porch and laughed like I hadn't once been the ghost at every family dinner. Now here's the part y'all are gonna love. Someone, no idea who, but someone, snapped a photo of the sign during the party. It got posted to a local Facebook group. Caption said, "Bold design choice. Anyone know the story behind the black house with the glowing breakup message?" The comments blew up. Over 300 replies. People speculating. Some defending it, some clutching their pearls, but a lot of folks asking the real question. Wait, is that Jessica's street? And then someone dropped a comment that made me wheeze. That's not a breakup message. That's a rebirth announcement. So yeah, that's where we're at. Jessica knows. The neighborhood knows. I'm not hiding anymore. And you better believe I'm just getting started. Because revenge isn't loud. It's well lit, elegantly designed, and mounted in cursive on a house you said I'd never own. 2 days after the party, Jessica rang my doorbell. She never rang. She used to barge in without knocking when we were kids, like every space was hers by default. But this time, she rang. I almost didn't answer. But I was curious. She was wearing this ridiculous sun hat and oversized sunglasses like she was trying to hide from paparazzi that didn't exist. Her arms were crossed tight, and her lips were pressed so hard they were almost white. "I need to talk to you," she said. I leaned on the doorframe. "You're trespassing again?" Her jaw tightened. "I'm serious. I know. That's why it's funny." She took a breath, tried to steady herself. "You made your point. Congratulations. You're doing well. You've proven something." I said nothing. Let the silence answer for me. Then she said it. "I think you need to take the sign down." There it was. She didn't care about the paint, or the party, or the patio. She cared about the sign. "Why?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because it's hurtful. Because people are talking. Because it's humiliating." I raised an eyebrow. "It's not about you." "Don't lie," she snapped. You picked that phrase on that house next to this one. You painted the damn thing black like a tombstone, and now you've got the whole neighborhood whispering. I thought I'd never make it without you, I said quietly. Her mouth opened, then closed. And for once, she didn't have a comeback. I didn't mean that, she said, but it came out small, weak. You were just so lost back then. I was trying to motivate you. No, I said, voice calm but sharp. You were trying to crush me, because if I made it without you, it meant you weren't necessary. And you need to be necessary. She blinked fast. You think I wanted you to fail? You didn't think I could not fail. That broke her. Not loudly, not dramatically, just visibly. Her shoulders sank, her voice wobbled. It was always me, you know, holding everything together. Mom said you'd end up homeless if I didn't help. Travis said I was being too harsh, but I thought I was saving you from yourself. You were saving yourself, I said, from admitting you were wrong about me. And then, because I'm not cruel, even now, I added, you don't have to carry me anymore, Jessica. You never did. That was the lie, she nodded. Once, her eyes looked glassy but dry. Then she turned and walked away. And that would have been the end of it, except that night, someone keyed my truck. Deep, deliberate gouges down both doors. No note, no witnesses. But I checked the camera footage, and there she was. Not Jessica, Travis, midnight, hoodie, keys in hand. And just like that, everything changed because I realized something. Jessica might have imploded, but Travis? Travis was about to detonate. The thing about Travis is he always came off like the good guy. Polite, passive, the kind of man who blends into furniture and nods through every conversation. But passive doesn't mean peaceful. Sometimes it just means pressure, building up behind a polite smile, waiting to pop. And he popped. After I saw the footage of him keying my truck, I didn't say anything right away. I just filed the police report, sent the video to my insurance, and made a copy for the lawyer I'd quietly kept on retainer ever since Jessica started spiraling. But I did make one change. I updated the sign. The next night, a new word lit up beneath "Without You." Small, red, just 3 letters. Why? Now it read, "Without you. Why?" And that question was a fuse. The next morning, Travis was standing on his porch with a coffee mug he probably couldn't taste, just staring at it. That night, I got the first voicemail. You've made your point, man. This isn't healthy. You're dragging her through the mud. She's trying. Just move on. I didn't respond. Next day, another voicemail. Angrier. You want war? Fine. Let's do war. You're not the only one who can make a scene. And he meant it. By Friday, my name had been blasted across the neighborhood Facebook group. Unstable ex-neighbor. Toxic energy. Possibly dangerous. With blurry screenshots of my own house like I was some kind of villain on Dateline. They said I was harassing them, that I installed the signs just to provoke Jessica, that I was creating a hostile domestic environment and should be reported to the HOA board, of which, shocker, Jessica was recently appointed secretary. It was pathetic, desperate, but they underestimated one thing. I don't play defense. That Saturday, I went to the HOA meeting. First time I ever attended one. I showed up in work boots and a clean black polo, carrying a folder of printed complaints, each one from neighbors about Jessica or Travis. Photos of trash dumped on my lawn, dates and times of her dog defecating in my yard, security cam footage of the keying, the trespassing, the property line disputes. I also included testimonials, statements from neighbors who attended my housewarming and offered to vouch for my character. And the final item? A printed screenshot of Jessica's text, "You were nothing without me." I handed the packet to the board, smiled politely and said, I just want peace. But if my property or reputation continues to be violated, I will escalate through legal channels. I have documentation. I am not bluffing. The president of the HOA looked very uncomfortable. Jessica? She wasn't there. Travis? Sat in the back, silent, pale, jaw clenched like a steel trap. I walked out and didn't look back. But the moment I got home, I checked the cameras. That night, around 2:14 a.m., Jessica came into my yard again, in pajamas, no shoes, just pacing in my grass, whispering to herself, staring at the sign like it was a ghost. Then she did something wild. She reached out and touched it, like it was alive. Then she collapsed on my lawn and started crying. Not loud, not performative, just quiet, miserable sobs. I watched from the dark, unseen, and for the first time since this whole thing began, I felt nothing. Not pity, not satisfaction, just distance. She wasn't the monster anymore. She was just small and unraveling, and I still wasn't done. Update 2. South. Remember how I said Jessica unraveled? Yeah, well, she tried to stitch herself back together with gasoline and gossip. I woke up 3 days after the HOA meeting to a group text from my cousin Sarah. It was a screenshot. Jessica had posted on her Instagram a dramatic black and white selfie with a caption that said, "Some people can only feel tall when they stand on your ruins. I forgive you, even if you never say sorry. I nearly choked on my coffee. She blocked me before I could even see it. But the internet? Oh, the internet always delivers. Apparently, she's spinning the whole thing now like I'm an abusive sibling, and she's some spiritual phoenix rising from my ashes. Her words, not mine. And y'all, people were eating it up. She even launched a little side hustle. Life coaching. I wish I were kidding. Reclaim your power with Jessica. $129 for a Zoom session and customized energy alignment. I laughed so hard I had to sit down, but then Travis showed up, at my door. Again, this time, no smugness. Just this hollow, defeated look in his eyes. I think she's losing it, he said, voice shaking. She's talking to herself, screaming at night, keeps calling your house a temple of betrayal. She hasn't eaten in 2 days. I didn't say anything. She's telling people you're stalking her, he added quietly. But I saw the footage. I know you haven't done anything. I don't know what to do. I finally looked him in the eye and said, then stop enabling her. He didn't reply, just nodded and left. That night, someone egged my house. Twice. I didn't clean it up right away, let it dry, let the crust show. Because honestly, it didn't feel like vandalism. It felt like proof that everything I'd ever endured in that family, every jab, every insult, every eye roll and put down, was theirs, not mine. And now it was finally visible. External, documented. I posted a photo of the egged wall on Nextdoor with the caption, turns out success is messy. Luckily, I have great insurance. Got 47 likes. 2 neighbors came by the next day to help clean it. One brought brownies. And that night, I installed one last sign. It's not neon. It's etched into steel, mounted on a clean slate plaque by the front steps. It says, built, not begged. Chosen, not caged. Forged, not forgiven. And underneath, a smaller line. Still, without you. No more signs in the window, because the house speaks for itself now. And so do I. Jessica didn't show her face for a week. Not at the mailbox. Not on the porch. Not even peeking from behind those plantation shutters she used to crack open like she was the neighborhood monarch. Silence. But silence doesn't mean peace. With her, it never has. See, Jessica doesn't retreat to lick her wounds. She retreats to reload. And on the 8th day, she fired back. I was pulling into my driveway after a site inspection when I saw the moving truck in front of her house. Thought maybe they were finally throwing in the towel. My first irrational hope that she was moving, that this story was over. Nope. They were unloading a banner, a massive white canvas banner, easily 10 feet across, that she'd hung across her garage. With big bold letters in red, "We built ourselves without hate." I swear to God it looked like a cult mantra, and an Etsy sign had a deranged baby. But that's not even the worst part. Below it, she'd arranged lawn chairs, a tiny folding table with crystals, and a sign-up sheet for her coaching sessions. She turned her damn driveway into a pop-up therapy stand. People stopped, some out of curiosity, some to gawk. One guy across the street took a photo, muttered, "What the hell?" and walked back into his house shaking his head. Travis wasn't even home. She was alone out there, wearing a flowy white blouse, sipping turmeric tea like she was sage smudging away the entire last decade of being awful. And then, she waved at me. That same smile she used to give the camera when she won awards in high school. All teeth. No soul. I didn't wave back. I just walked into my house and locked the door behind me. That night, the wind tore her banner clean off the garage. I stood in my window and watched it flap, twist, and finally sail down the street like a sad little parachute. She ran after it in sock feet, cursing loud enough for me to hear through the glass. I didn't laugh. I didn't even smile, because by then I knew. She wasn't trying to win. She was trying to rewrite, to turn herself into the protagonist of a story she'd spent years sabotaging. But I had one final chapter left, and it wasn't about signs or paint or banners. It was about memory, the kind you don't hang on a wall but carve into the ground. I waited until a Sunday morning, calm, quiet, no wind. Then I dug. Right there, in the corner of my front yard closest to her house where her dog used to pee every evening like clockwork, I broke ground. A small patch, no bigger than 6 feet across. Just enough for what I had planned. Neighbors passed by, walking dogs, nodding curiously. New project? One asked. Yep, I said. Personal? I didn't elaborate. By noon, I'd leveled the soil, cleared the roots, laid the stone, imported it from the quarry myself, polished, clean-cut granite tiles in a perfect circle. At the center, I set the piece I'd been holding onto for months, a cast-iron sundial, antique, weathered. I'd restored it quietly in my garage over the winter, polishing the numbers by hand until they gleamed like tiny secrets, etched along the base, just beneath the gnomon. Time proved you wrong. No neon, no spotlight, just the sun, casting shadows every day across a message she couldn't ignore. That evening, I watered the soil, cleaned my tools, and sat on my porch. Jessica came out right after sunset. She stood there, no makeup, barefoot, just watching the sundial from across her lawn like it was some kind of omen. And maybe it was. Not a threat, just a fact. I didn't look at her. Just sat there sipping coffee, the way she used to when she'd tell me I was ungrateful and entitled for wanting a life on my terms. The next morning, I found a note taped to my mailbox. No envelope, just handwriting I recognized from childhood birthday cards and backhanded to-do lists. It said, "We could have done this together." Underneath it, in a different pen, different handwriting, slanted and rushed, someone had scribbled, "But you wanted credit, not company." It was Travis. That night, I saw him loading suitcases into the back of his SUV. 2 of them, just his. No signs of her. He didn't knock, didn't wave, just pulled away slow, like a man finally exiting a very long play where he was only ever an understudy. Jessica hasn't been out since. The crystals are gone. The folding table, too. The Instagram's still up, but the coaching link is broken. Meanwhile, my sundial casts its shadow across the stone every day. Quiet, constant, unbothered. People still ask about the sign in my window, if I'll take it down now. But I won't, because it's not about Jessica anymore. It never really was. It's about the boy who was told he'd never build anything. The man who was told he was only valuable if he was small enough to be pitied. The brother who finally stopped apologizing and started creating. So yeah, I made it. Without them. And I stayed.